Apex Legends is a game that has taken people by storm. It is one of the best battle royales out there. And today we're going to be doing a tier list based off of the top characters at the moment of this recording. Now, obviously this tier list is bound to change, so in the future I will make sure to update as time goes on. But right now this is a good tier list. It's based off of a lot of what a bunch of big time streamers have been saying, and also based off of common statistics of win percentage based off of the character types. We're going to be really diving into what their ability kits are and how useful they are in all scenarios. So without further ado, let's jump in and see who is the best champion of Apex Legends. Now, starting off with number 8 on the list is Mirage. Now, I don't like saying Mirage is like the worst one, but he kind of is now. In the beginning of the game, he had a really cool toolkit that a lot of people could really work with. However, as time kind of went on and players started to learn a lot of how his abilities worked, it started to show that his toolkit wasn't as strong as initially thought. And while it's good at fooling beginners, any character that has played the game enough will know when it's a clone and when it's not a clone. And then not to mention his ultimate is pretty weak compared to a lot of the other ultimates in this game, so therefore it makes him at the very bottom of the list. Now, I do think that over time they can overwork him and change him up a little bit, but he really needs a lot redone for his overall toolkit to actually be effective when playing this game, especially with some of the stronger legends that we're going to be looking at later on. Now at number 7 we have Caustic. Caustic is one that I don't want to put so low on the list, but he really is. And what I mean by that is, okay, when you look at Caustic's tool kit, you think it's good, but in only certain scenarios. When you are in a corridor such as bunker or in a closed little house or something, he shines. He is the king. He owns that area. But most of your fights in this game are in open, wide areas, which his toolkit does not work well with. And the issue is not that he's a bad character, it's that he's only good in certain scenarios, which makes it to where he's very weak compared to some of the other characters whose abilities are always useful every single second of the game. So Caustic, while he's not a bad character, the whole reason he is low on this list is just because of his abilities are not good in every scenario, and due to it not being good in every scenario, there are little flaws there. And while it's not that bad of a toolkit, it does have some issues of it not being useful, and whenever you're playing a character that doesn't have uses, it's almost better to choose another character with a similar kind of weaker toolkit that can be used throughout the game rather than a strong toolkit for closed areas, and that is why Caustic is number 7. At number 6 we have Gibraltar. Gibraltar is a character that has a lot of controversy going for him, especially with the hitbox sort of thing that's going on. But ignoring that, he does have a lot of disadvantages, which is why he's below middle tier. The reason for that is, one, his shield passive when he's shooting a gun, while useful and it seems like it's really great, overhead shots and shooting at the legs will still hit him really hard. Now, if they do a potential change, what they've been talking about doing some different changes to the shield and making it a little bit bigger, I do think it would be a little bit more helpful. However, at the time of right now, it is not that good. In addition to that, he does have a barrier that he can drop, which is good for long range fights where you have a lot of snipers that are shooting at you. It's great to drop down that barrier. However, enemies can run into it, and also it does kind of keep you in that small area. And in addition to that, it doesn't recharge fast enough to where you could drop that barrier all the time to make it quite useful as it could be. Now, Gibraltar is a character that I think over time will be jumping up higher on the list, but at the moment he fits at number 6 because of how his toolkit works. His toolkit is one that can be improved on and actually make him better and more balanced of a character, but with the hitboxes and his passive being so weak, it is something that I think needs to be addressed and talked about, and why he is at a lower tier. Alright, so at number 5, we're getting into the mid-tier characters. These are characters that are not bad at all. Like, you can pick them and they are still good and have an overall awesome toolkit. And we gotta give it to Bangalore here. Bangalore, she has a pretty awesome passive of, not taking as much damage when running. However, that does have its minor issues. Her smoke bombs are great, especially when dealing with all the different people out there. However, there is issues of when people are at higher ground, they can still see the shadow moving around and be able to shoot you down. It does have helpful sort of combos with a lot of the different characters, such as Bloodhound and his ultimate. However, it doesn't quite have enough strength as some of the other characters that we're about to deal with. However, she is a pretty good character, especially with her ultimate, and making it to where those characters have to spread out because of the artillery strikes coming. Very powerful character that combos well with other characters. She's not bad, but she's not great. And that's the issue. Her toolkit isn't 100% useful all the time. You're not going to be dropping smoke bombs every single time you get into a fight, because overhead fights are going to be a huge disadvantage. However, in most case scenarios, especially when the circle gets tighter and tighter, she does shine, meaning that she's not a bad character, she's just not a great one, which is why she's mid-tier. So Pathfinder was one that I was really debating on putting at number 3, but I decided that he fit more at number 4. Now, this character is really strong, and when I first played the game, I thought he was complete garbage. However, as time went on, and I started to play him, and I started playing against him, I started to see that his toolkit actually is really strong in different scenarios, and really helpful for your teammates over time. One of the things is, especially with his passive, is finding out where the next time the circle is going to be going. So going to these little relay towers and hitting them up and figuring out where the circle is going to be going is a really strong ability. It allows you to loot in areas longer and kind of sort of explore, get your gear all together, relax, kind of hunker down a little bit, watch as the other people kind of kill each other, and that way you can survive a little bit longer, so that way you guys can become the champions. Now, in addition to that, he does have his different hook shots and everything that allow him to traverse the sort of environment a lot faster, allowing himself to really get out of fights and into fights where he's needed, giving himself the high ground to really help him out, especially with sniping, and also to get him away from the fights in tight corridors. So if you're in a tight corridor, you hook shot to the corner, get around, and then that way you can potentially position yourself in a nice area to where you can really control the battlefield at where you want to be. Now, he does have his own flaws, where there is something with the hitbox controversy with his legs being a little bit bigger of a hitbox compared to most, but I think that he's a really strong character, and it was really hard for me to debate with him being at number 3, but I decided that he was going to be at number 4 for this list. Now, at number 3 is Bloodhound. Bloodhound is a character, though, I think is only good if you're communicating with your team. If you're not communicating with your team, Pathfinder is a little bit better. For solo queue scenarios and you're not talking to your team, Bloodhound is definitely lower. However, with Bloodhound, his way of tracking all the different enemies around and being able to ping them and find them and point it out to your team will make firefights so much easier. In addition to that, having his ultimate be very helpful with partnering up with Bangalore's grenades is really great, because you can see through the smoke and shoot at all the different targets and really do that damage that you need in those intense firefights. Bloodhound is really great at his tracking, which is why he's obviously a tracker, but it makes it to where it's very useful in almost every single scenario. Finding out where the enemy is before they find you is so helpful. It makes it to where you are able to control the battlefield a little bit more with a little bit of that time to really understand and know where to position yourself and how to use your team effectively for the firefight to come ahead, which makes it to where Bloodhound is really powerful. With team communication, Bloodhound can be really powerful to have on your squad, and that's why he's not number 3. At number 2, we got to go with WRAITH here. Now, you'll see every streamer and their mother playing WRAITH, and the reason for that is she is just a really awesome toolkit and ability kit that is almost useful in every scenario possible. She has her passive that warns her when enemies are pointing their guns and shooting at them. She has abilities to allow her to go invisible, to position herself where she needs to go. She has intense agility to where she can run and go wherever she needs to go. She has an ultimate ability which allows her to put a rift to help her teammates traverse large open areas, and in addition to that, you can put a portal down, traverse to a nice area invisible, put that portal down, have your teammate go through the portal, arrange yourself and wait for the enemy to try to go through your portal, giving you the few extra seconds there of being able to shoot at them, allowing those extra few seconds to do so much damage to where you are able to knock them down a lot easier with that short time duration period, which makes it to where it's very, very powerful. Now, a lot of people have been putting her at number 3, but I really think that she is at number 2, especially with this toolkit, and with any of the changes that are coming, her agility is just very powerful. That having that quickness and having that invisibility to where it's true invisibility, not just scuffed invisibility, and having it to where she can run and go around wherever she needs to go, makes it to where in a firefight, she can get out of bad, hairy situations, and having it to where also she has the power similar to Pathfinder, where she can have it to where her teammates can also traverse large open areas quicker with her ultimate. And I think that is what makes her at number 2 spot and why a lot of people actually pick her. Now, the top spot has to go to Lifeline, and Lifeline's not the character that pops into people's heads initially right at the start, but she is number 1, just flat out right now, one of the best characters. And the reason for that is, well, all of her abilities are relevant to any situation, they have great team synergy, and they're just overall better than most things out there. Now, let's actually take a breakdown of all the different things. Her passive ability allows her to use healing items faster. So, in the middle of fights, she can use this to quickly get herself back up to full life. In addition to that, she can get her shields up and everything that she needs to get her in that quick heal spot to where she can jump right back into a fight. After fights, she can do a quick little heal as well to make sure that she's ready for whatever the next fight is, or if another team is trying to do a pincer maneuver and attack you after you just did a battle. Very helpful trait right there. Also, she has her drone, which allows her to heal and heal all your teammates. It's not a single target heal, it's a heal in an area around it. It's very slow, but after fights, it's great to use as you don't have to waste any healing items, and you can save those for when you're actually in the middle of a battle rather than every single time after a battle. And it recharges relatively fast as well. Also, she has her shield when she's resurrecting people. So if somebody is downed and she's trying to bring them back up, she puts a shield down, and it's very helpful because if you're getting sniped or attacked from afar, it's a very helpful maneuver to use, as you're able to block a few of the shots enough to where you can usually pick up the character with the time that was needed. Now, it isn't useful in scenarios where it's very tight knit, but it is still useful in regardless of that. Now, as for her ultimate is one of the most powerful in the game. Yes, it has a 6-minute timer roughly about when it recharges and everything, but you can easily manipulate this by doing accelerants early in the game. So usually the common strat with having a lifeline in your party is pick up as many accelerants as possible, drop them, give them all to her, and then she uses a bunch of them, dropping down her supply drop, which always has supporting items. Healing items, shield items, which are always useful for every character in the game, and then in addition to that usually has some sort of attachment to any of your weapons that are usually really powerful of epic quality oftentimes, and in addition to that drops a gear piece which is typically of epic quality as well. So the common strat of basically having it to where you get a bunch of these supply drops early in the game and middle of the game allows it to where your party has a full armor set of epic quality loot, allowing you to really dominate the Battle Royale overall. Well guys, that was my top 8 list for Apex Legends and looking at all the different champions going forward. Now, not everybody is going to agree with the list I've shown today. Some of this is obviously based off of my own personal experience and my own personal bias. However, I did really try to balance this out with some of the statistics I was finding and what a lot of big time streamers were saying when I was watching them on Twitch. However, this list is subject to change. There's going to be a lot of different changes coming up. I know EA has discussed a lot of the different things that it wants to do with the game coming forward, and we'll see how that goes as time goes on. I'm sure this list will be changing drastically, but I really wanted to base it around overall how the toolkits work throughout the game, team synergy, and just overall the play style and how it is countering to other different characters out there. Now keep in mind, not every character is bad. Any of the ones from mid-tier up are typically really good, and keep in mind that in every team, not everybody can be Lifeline, so it is important to sometimes pick a good team synergy rather than choosing all the top champions. I do think that this list is pretty strong, so just keep that in mind. If you do disagree with me, comment down below your reasoning. I am actually curious, and I want to update this list better and better as time goes on, especially with some of the new characters coming out. There's rumors of Octane, one of the characters I did review, which you guys can check out that video in the top right of this video. And in addition to that, I do think that as time goes on, I really want to make sure I talk to the community and understand what a lot of people's feelings and different play styles are, and some of the different strats as time goes on as well. Anyways, if you did like the video, make sure to smash that like button, and also be sure to subscribe. I also do streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/Datcoopguy, DATCOOPGUY. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.